Hello, I'm Lori Joe Vest, and if it's Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock, it's time for Hot Take Tuesday from Popspeed Digital Marketing LLC. Kylie Metcalf and I are here today to tell you that social media is not that hard. Actually, that's a really funny thing to say because honestly, everybody thinks they can do social media, but we know things because we're immersed in it all day long that a lot of other people don't know because we are so focused on making sure that social media works for our customers that there are little tips and tricks that we know. And we want to share some of those with you today that are related to copywriting. Everybody doesn't know how to write copy for social media. It can be, we see a lot of things out there that are not quite the right way to do it, right, Kylie?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, we see a lot of AI copy, which,
Mhm.
believe it or not, the algorithms can discern if copy is AI. We have talked about this. I talked about it on a call this morning already, matter of fact, that when you're writing AI copy, it's very flowery. There's a lot of things that you can tell, put it that way. We can
Mhm.
tell, and if you start paying
Yeah.
attention, you'll be able to tell too. AI copy is not the way to go. But there's some basic things that we want to talk about this morning, and then we are doing a LinkedIn Live coming up on this topic. When is that, Kylie?
It is December 19th,
Yeah,
midday.
so
So yeah.
mark your calendars for December 19th. Look for our LinkedIn page and you'll see under the events tab. Go ahead and click that button and sign up for it so that you can get the rest of our copy tips. But Kylie,
Mhm.
I'm going to let you get us started here. What are we going to talk
Yeah,
about?
for sure. So today we're going to focus a little bit on if your social media marketing copy is boring and what that looks like, what it means, how to fix it. And it's a little bit of a sneak peek, as Lori said, into our LinkedIn Live event in a couple weeks. So if you're not following us on LinkedIn, go ahead and follow us for a lot more than what we're going to talk about here today.
Yeah.
Um, so one thing that we see often that we're going to focus a little bit on today is the phrase just throw this on social media really quick, or can you just post this really quick, or things of that nature. That is, in my opinion, a surefire way for your social media marketing copy to be boring. So we're going to talk about that a little bit.
And to fail.
Exactly. Just a quick little deep dive. Number two, we're going to talk about how limited your audience's attention span is and why your copy being boring, for lack of a better word, will really limit the amount of audience members and social media users that you're really catching in the algorithm and in their
Mhm.
scroll. And then we're going to wrap it all up with some tips and tricks on how to avoid boring copy and spruce it up a little bit moving forward into the new year.
Yeah. So, first things first, just throw this up on social media. And I love this image. The answer to that request would be no.
No.
Um, there was a time early in social media. This is really funny, Kylie. I think I told you this. I figured out the other day. I have been in social media for 18 years. That's
Hmm.
crazy. Very, very early. And yes, we would put anything up because it was like, this is so
Yeah.
new and fun. And it's changed a lot in 18 years. And so when you hear someone say, oh, this needs to go on our social media page, does it really? What is
Right.
it? And why would it go there? And what would the purpose of it be? So there is no such thing in a true social media marketing effort as just throwing. There's no such thing as just throwing something up. There's got to
Yeah.
be thought behind it, right?
Exactly. I think that's such a good point. And in terms of copy, I think that just throwing things up on social, and of course, we've talked a lot about how important it is to be agile. And we know that things come up, and in generally speaking, you're going to have some really urgent things that need to get posted quickly. That's all well and good. But when there's no strategy really, and like that's your strategy, I guess is a better way of saying that is, oh, my boss brought in donuts today. Please post about it. Or, oh, it's this person's birthday. Let's post about it. Um, it's boring. It's boring,
Yeah.
and it doesn't add value to your audience's scroll, right? It
Yeah.
doesn't help them, it doesn't educate them, it doesn't inform or entice them. And as harsh as
Yeah.
it may sound, the truth of the matter is we're all busy and nobody really cares that much about things like that. People care about things that will help them, that will make their life better, that will make their life easier, things of that nature, right? So,
Well,
and
and
go ahead, go ahead.
real quick, I have to give an example because I think this one is so funny. Put this up on social media. We had a vendor come in today and they brought a nice lunch spread. And then we've actually had this happen. They send us pictures of the lunch spread. And we're going, okay, you are a business that has nothing to do with food. There are
Right,
no people in the photos. Why are we putting food photos on your feed?
right.
However, if you have a trained social media team, they would take that and say, hey, a vendor brought in some food. Let's get some pictures of our people with the vendor, people,
Mhm.
and then create a social post that feeds our strategy of
Yep,
showing our people engaging with our community,
right.
tag the vendor, get more, and you've created a social post that wasn't just thrown up, but that served your strategy, right?
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
sorry about that.
I
Keep
think
going.
it no, no, no. I think that's such a good point. When there's a way to frame all of these things that just need to get posted in a way that is engaging. For
Yes.
us, very rarely do we have posts, whether it's for our own social or for our clients, where it's not gonna, cross the eyes of a few people before it gets posted. If I'm gonna
Mhm.
write it, at some point Lori will see it. Our other team member Molly will see it. Our client will see it. Somebody besides me, if I'm the
Yes.
writer, is gonna get their eyes on it, and they're gonna tell me, "No, Kylie, this is really boring," or "No, Kylie, this isn't landing the way you think it's going to," or they're gonna tell me that it's great and it's perfect the way it is. Whatever the
Yeah.
case may be, more than just me is gonna see it. And in the case of let's just get this on social really quick, no one else is gonna see it to tell me if it's not gonna land the way that I want it to.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
there's so many layers to our position of being very anti, let's just throw this on social, that we could
Yeah.
talk about for hours, but
We
that's a bit
could.
of an overview.
We could. But
Right.
I also have to add, that the collaborative nature of how we do social is part of our magic.
Mhm.
When we have a weekly copy review and we're all looking at the posts, we're saying, well, you know what? What if we started that with a question? What if we, what if we change that image and make it something that's more attractive? What if we put
Mhm.
more people in? What if we make a video out of this? So the collaborative part of what we do doesn't jibe well with just throw this up. It just doesn't.
Right.
So, and it makes for better social and more
Yeah,
ROI. So, all right,
absolutely.
next, Kylie, what do you got?
Next, we're going to talk about how short and how limited your audience's attention span is. So, oh, hi, Jen.
Good to
Love
see
that.
you.
Love that. Love that. We love having people watch. It's so fun. Um, but yeah, so we're going to talk about your audience's attention span. Most often we will frame this in the way of how important your marketing assets are, whether that's your
Mhm.
video, your images, your the carousel images you're publishing, whatever the case may be. On LinkedIn, maybe a PDF, things of that nature. Your copy is really really important too, and they both go hand in hand. If your
Mhm.
copy is consistently and very salesy, or if it maybe lacks emojis in some instances for some of our clients where that's more appropriate,
Mhm.
or if it's just one big block of text,
Oh yeah,
or
nobody's reading those.
exactly things like that. If there's nothing in that first line of copy that's gripping them, or if it's instantly overwhelming because there's so much, or
Mhm.
not enough spaces, or improper grammar, or things like that, um it's you're going to lose people. You're going to lose your
Yeah.
audience. They don't want to read it, they're not interested in it, and ultimately nobody goes back to the sales example. Nobody goes on social to be sold to. They go
Mm-mm.
to maybe learn, to interact with people, to be
See
informed or
what
be
their friends are
educated.
doing. Yeah.
Exactly, to keep up with friends and family and loved ones and things like that. So that's another reason why you'll hear us say so often, stand out by fitting in, and your copy is an example of that as well.
Mhm. And I would add there's, there's if you once you know the rules, you can break them.
Mhm.
And what I've been told for years, and I'm sure it's still true, is the highest performing social copy on Facebook is 58 characters or less. Nobody
Mhm.
has a lot of time to read social content. And so we're in an attention economy when it comes to social. So you want to hit hard that first line and get people's attention as well as pulling them in with the image.
Mhm.
However, you can break that if you've got a really compelling story to tell and you
Mhm.
you frame it and set it up in a way that has white space and bullets and kind of draws the eye downward and the copy is good enough and strong
Yep.
enough to draw somebody through, you can get away with longer copy, but not every time.
I
People
think
really
that's
don't
Yep.
these days want to read lots and lots and lots, right?
And speaking to that too, I think that's this is something that you do really well, Lori. And I'll shout out a former friend and not coworker, but somebody I knew through my network, Angela
Mhm.
Bucciolato.
Oh, she's
She
great.
is so good at writing that long form LinkedIn post and that first line gripping you instantly. Things
Mhm.
like that first standalone line, I just got fired from my job today. And then you tell a story,
Mhm.
something really interesting or sad or happy or things that
Yeah.
evoke emotion instantly get somebody to read the whole story. It have every time you post a long form thing on LinkedIn or Angela or Brenda Meller will do it sometimes.
Yeah.
That first line grips you and then you read the entire thing. So I think that's such a good way of looking at it where yes, that long form copy has a time and place, but that first line or first sentence is so important.
Mhm. And we just a quick tip here, we will often use testimonials as the first sentence of a post. And if
Mhm.
if a customer says something really great, in that first line of that testimonial, use that as the post copy, and then,
Absolutely.
tell them where to go to get more information or where to sign up or whatever it is that you're trying to get them to do. Jennifer has a question. Short videos are the way to go on social, but what advice would you give to people who are camera shy? Oh, Jennifer, I get that. Oh my God, it's so hard if the camera makes you anxious, which it often does.
Mhm.
Then you can be one of those people that uses still photos and potentially longer copy telling a story,
Mhm.
sharing on one of the ways to get a lot out of social, believe it or not, and we're hearing this from the trend followers, is to be engaging with other people's content. They're now
Mhm.
suggesting if videos aren't your thing, there are other ways to get the attention and get the algorithm to see you and show your material by being very engaged with the people in your feed, commenting on their content, sharing their content, sharing things about other people. One of the
Mhm.
things that I did recently that got all kinds of attention was a post. It was about me and it had a photo of me, but it said, I wouldn't be as happy as I am today. Of course, I'm grinning ear to ear because that's what I do. But I got a big picture of me smiling. And it's like the only reason I'm having such a great day today is because I have these 6 people that have coached me and gotten me to where I am today. That no matter what's happening in the entrepreneurial venture, which can be a roller coaster, I feel pretty good most days because I've
Mhm.
learned from these amazing coaches and then I tag them, then they engage with the post and it's gratitude for me to them, and then it's extra attention to them because they're tagged and they can go in and comment and it gets shown to everybody in their feeds. So there are
Right.
a lot of things you can do. If you're camera shy, go with still photos, but still share photos of yourself, Jennifer, because believe it or not, the highest performing content on social media is always smiling faces. So I
Mhm.
was a little shy about it too, and it feels weird. I'm sharing a selfie, but you can say really great things and get really great messaging and advice out to
Yeah,
more people by sharing a picture of yourself. If
absolutely.
video is not your thing, then don't do video because you won't be comfortable. If you feel like you might eventually be comfortable, then just start practicing. Start practicing, start recording yourself. And over time, right, Kylie, you get more comfortable. Kylie wasn't
Oh,
really comfortable when
absolutely.
we first started these,
Not
and she's
at
there
all.
now. We kind of start
Yeah.
doing these so that we could get comfortable doing these. So,
Yeah.
Jennifer, we have a ton of ideas for you. And actually, don't hesitate to reach out to us individually here on LinkedIn. Kylie and I are both open networkers and happy to assist with a quick call. So,
Absolutely.
next, what do you got here, Kylie?
All right, some tips and tricks. So, I alluded to it earlier. One of the biggest tips and tricks I think we have when it comes to up leveling your copy, excuse me, is making sure more sets of eyes get on it than just yours.
Mhm.
Something that sounds normal and works in my brain might not land for Lori, for Molly, for our client, for their audience. Um, and I think that that's really important because just because it makes sense to you or you think it's not boring or you think it's funny or pithy or whatever, doesn't mean the rest of the world is going to think so, right?
Yeah.
So make
Yep.
sure more eyes are seeing it than just yours. And I think we've talked about this tip before. I think it's very easy to get into a writer's rut when you're working with the same
Mhm.
clients or for your own brand for a lengthy period of time where you feel like you're just saying the same things over and over again but trying to find different words and things of that nature. So getting in a writer's rut is very normal and happens to literally everybody. One of the
Mhm.
things that we do is we will set a timer for ourselves and just write. And whether it's because we need ideas or because we're just stuck and can't get out of our own heads, we write, we set a timer, maybe 10, 15 minutes, see what we wrote, see what works, see what doesn't, and just kind of force ourselves to get in that frame of mind, the voice of our client, and
Mhm.
put pen to paper and see what happens and get creative. And you know what I
Yes.
mean? There's no harm in just crossing some things off because you spent 15 minutes. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Um,
Exactly.
yeah. What about you, Lori? What are some of yours?
Well, I'm a big reader and I just love reading books about writing. We have a company book club and
Mhm.
we right now we're reading Day Trading Attention, which is Gary Vaynerchuk's. But you pick up so many ideas. In this
Yeah.
book, there are so many ideas. And it's really, honestly, I think one of the things we talked about in this book was, or on something else that we looked at was starting your social content with a question, your video with a question, a really
Yep.
ridiculous question. And here
Mhm.
there's case studies. So you can see what this particular company did, and they did a social effort that included that, and it worked really well. And it has you thinking, well, I wonder if that would translate to one of our clients. And how could we
Mhm.
make that idea our own? So I'm a firm believer in ingesting, probably to a fault, a lot of
Mhm.
advice and case studies and other, content of high quality so that when I need ideas, they're back there somewhere, right? Um,
Right.
for example, I love the Jaguar rebrand that they're doing. It is so interesting and it's colorful. If you don't know about it, go look. They just released sketches of a concept vehicle that is kind of reminiscent of Barbie. It's pink. It looks pink and pearly. And it's beautiful, I think. Not everybody thinks it's beautiful, but I do. So
Mhm.
just ingesting creative work can be really helpful. And with
Yeah.
that one in particular, it had me thinking, where can we use bright colors? Because the colors were so striking. And where are we missing out by maybe not using some brighter tones in our
Yeah.
client's imagery so that it shows up in the feed a little more vibrant, So
Yeah.
just a tip. That's it.
That's
Yeah,
funny
I'm
'cause
one
it
of those
came
people
up.
that I'm constantly adjusting.
Yeah, that came up. I remember when we talked about that. It came up at the same time while we were reading this book that Lori shouted out, Day
Yeah.
Trading Attention. That they basically alluded to the fact that a trend on social that we're going to continue to see is that you don't have to follow these rigid brand guidelines, right?
Yeah.
Which, in some ways we do, in some ways we don't. You don't want to completely, reinvent the wheel and go in a totally another direction, I guess, in
Right.
some senses. But it was very interesting that Jaguar teaser came out when it did. I think it was the
Yeah.
same day that we had book club and started this book. So it was very
Yep.
interesting. Like, oh yeah,
Yep.
we don't need to follow brand guidelines all the time. So
Well, we're hearing it everywhere too. It was on the
yeah.
Hootsuite trends, I believe,
Yes.
and
Yep.
also in Gary Vaynerchuk's book that being like on social media, veering a little bit to the left or right of your brand guidelines is not a bad thing. And what
Right.
it reminds me of is that whole Brat Summer and that vibrant green, that like,
Mhm.
what is that chartreuse green was so
Right.
popular. And a brand could use that. It wouldn't be in your brand guidelines, but it would help bring you into the trend and into the
Yep.
conversation. So
Absolutely.
interesting things to see how that all plays out because I know a lot of brand enthusiasts, you know, and marketing folks would tell you don't ever veer away from your brand standards.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see what kind of battle that creates and if we honestly do see more of that, you know. So
Mhm.
anyway, I think we've covered everything we planned on covering today for you guys. So it is time to close it up. Kylie and I are both open networkers on LinkedIn. So please connect with us. And we always offer a half-hour social media audit, personally or professionally. We're happy to take a look at your social, give you some
Mhm.
ideas, and help you get to know us a little better. So take care, everyone, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody.